Welcome to my channel Old Valuable Chiller. Today we are going to talk in detail about the 1984p Roosevelt dime from the United States, a coin that carries history, design beauty, and collector appeal. The 1984p dime is part of the Roosevelt dime series, which began in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and this specific coin struck at the Philadelphia Mint is an interesting piece for coin collectors and history lovers. In this video, I will share everything you need to know about the 1984p dime, including its design, composition, mintage, historical background, errors, varieties, and its potential value for collectors. The obverse of the 1984p Roosevelt dime features the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, designed by John R. Sinnott, the chief engraver of the United States Mint. This design has remained unchanged since its first appearance in 1946. On the coin, you can clearly see the word Liberty, the motto In God We Trust, the year 1984, and the P mint mark which stands for Philadelphia. The mint mark is a crucial identifier because without it, you wouldn't know where the coin was produced. The 1984p dime stands out because it represents a massive production run at the Philadelphia Mint during the 1980s. On the reverse, the 1984p Roosevelt dime shows one of the most symbolic designs in U.S. coinage. At the center is a torch representing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on one side for peace and an oak branch on the other side for strength and independence. Surrounding these symbols are the words United States of America and the denomination 1 dime, with the famous motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. These design elements together represent the spirit and ideals of the United States, and that is why the Roosevelt dime has remained unchanged for decades. Now let's talk about the composition of the 1984p dime. Since 1965, dimes have been struck in a copper-nickel clad composition. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This gives the dime its silver-like appearance, even though it contains no actual silver. The coin weighs 2.27 grams, measures 17.9 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge. These specifications are standard for Roosevelt dimes, but collectors still appreciate having the details when studying or grading their coins. In terms of mintage, the 1984p Roosevelt dime was produced in huge numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, making it a very common issue in circulation. You can still find 1984p dimes in everyday pocket change. However, as with all modern coins, condition is everything. While circulated examples are worth only face value, uncirculated pieces, especially those with sharp details, are collectible. Coins graded mint state, particularly MS65 and higher, can carry a solid premium. Even more valuable are those designated full torch or full bands, which means the torch lines on the reverse are sharply defined. These details are often weakly struck, so finding a 1984p dime with full details is a true prize for collectors. When it comes to value, an average circulated 1984p Roosevelt dime is worth 10 cents, but condition and rarity of strike make all the difference. In mint state 65, the coin is worth a few dollars, and in mint state 67 or higher with a full torch designation, values can rise significantly. Collectors who build registry sets, aiming for the finest known examples, are willing to pay much more for these top quality coins. That is why searching through rolls or bags of dimes can still pay off, because you never know when a superb 1984p dime might appear. Collectors should also pay attention to potential errors and varieties. Like many coins of the 1980s, the 1984p dime can occasionally be found with interesting mint errors such as off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies. These errors make a normal coin instantly more desirable because they are unique pieces of minting history. Even a small error can increase value, and major errors can be worth many times more than face value. This adds excitement to searching through coins because every dime has the potential to be something special. The historical context of the 1984p dime is also worth noting. By the 1980s, the Roosevelt dime had been circulating for nearly 4 decades, honoring a president who was remembered for leading the country through the Great Depression and most of World War II. Roosevelt's personal connection to the March of Dimes campaign against polio made the dime an especially fitting tribute. Holding a 1984p dime is not just holding a piece of currency, but also a symbol of American resilience, leadership, and the fight for better public health. For collectors building a full set of Roosevelt dimes, the 1984p dime is an essential piece. While not considered rare, it represents an important part of the series. Many collectors seek out the best possible example to add to their albums or registry collections, making high-grade specimens more difficult to find than the common circulated ones. Finding a perfectly struck, high-grade 1984p dime takes patience, but it is very rewarding for those who appreciate the details. In the end, the 1984p Roosevelt dime from the United States is more than just a small coin. It is part of a long-standing series. It carries symbolic designs of liberty, peace, and strength, and it represents the enduring memory of Franklin Delano Roosevelt. While most examples remain common and worth face value, uncirculated pieces, coins with full torch details, and error varieties can all bring much higher values. For collectors, this coin is an opportunity to connect with history while also enjoying the challenge of finding the best examples. Whether you are searching through rolls, buying from coin dealers, or simply checking your pocket change, the 1984p Roosevelt dime is a coin worth paying attention to. First up today, we are going to talk in detail about the 1987D dime coin from the United States of America. This coin is a Roosevelt dime, one of the most popular and widely collected coins in U.S. history. The dime has always held a special place in American coinage, and the 1987D dime is no exception. Collectors, hobbyists, and coin enthusiasts all want to know about its history, design, composition, value, and interesting facts that make it stand out. If you are interested in coins, coin collecting, or United States currency, then this is a perfect video for you. So make sure you stay until the end as we cover everything you need to know about the 1987D Roosevelt dime. The dime, which is worth 10 cents in face value, features the portrait of President Franklin D. Roosevelt on the obverse side. This design was introduced in 1946, shortly after his death, to honor his contributions to the nation, especially his efforts in founding the March of Dimes to fight polio. The obverse of the dime shows Roosevelt facing left, with the word liberty, the motto "In God We Trust," and the year of mintage, which in this case is 1987. Just below Roosevelt's neck, you can also find the initials of the designer, John R. Sinnock, the chief engraver of the U.S. Mint at the time. The reverse side of the 1987D dime features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch on the left representing peace, and an oak branch on the right symbolizing strength and independence. Around the reverse are the inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, and 1 dime. This classic design has been used consistently since 1946 and remains a lasting tribute to Roosevelt's legacy. Now let's focus on the details specific to the 1987D dime. The letter D indicates that the coin was minted at the Denver Mint. Millions of these coins were produced, which means they are not considered rare in general circulation. In terms of composition, the 1987D dime is made from a copper-nickel clad combination. The outer layer consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The coin has a diameter of 17.9 millimeters, a thickness of 1.35 millimeters, and a weight of 2.27 grams. The edge of the dime is reeded, featuring 118 tiny grooves that help prevent counterfeiting and also give the coin its unique feel. Collectors often ask about the value of the 1987D dime. In circulated condition, this coin generally holds its face value of 10 cents, since it was produced in very large quantities and is still commonly found in pocket change. However, for coin collectors, condition makes a big difference. Uncirculated 1987D dimes, especially those in mint state condition, can be worth more than face value. Coins graded MS65 or higher often worth a few dollars, and those with exceptional luster, no scratches, or rare errors can be worth even more. Proof versions of the dime exist as well, but those were minted at San Francisco with an S mint mark, not Denver. Speaking of errors, some of the most valuable 1987D dimes are those that feature minting mistakes. Errors like off-center strikes, die cracks, missing letters, double dies, and clipped planches are highly sought after by collectors. A simple 10-cent coin can sometimes be worth hundreds of dollars if it contains a dramatic and well-preserved mint error. That's why it is always important to carefully check your pocket change, because you never know when you might come across a valuable dime. The 1987D dime is part of a long tradition of Roosevelt dimes that continue to circulate to this day. Unlike earlier dimes made before 1965, which contained 90% silver, the 1987D dime has no silver content. Silver dimes stopped being produced for circulation after the Coinage Act of 1965, when rising silver prices made it too expensive for the government to continue minting silver coins. Instead, the U.S. Mint switched to the copper-nickel clad composition still used today. That means if you're looking for silver value, the 1987D dime does not contain any, but it can still hold collector interest due to its condition, errors, and place in U.S. numismatic history. When examining a 1987D dime, collectors often focus on strike quality, surface preservation, luster, and eye appeal. Denver minted coins are generally well struck, but bag marks and scratches are common because of the way coins are handled in bulk. If you find a 1987D dime with a sharp strike, clean surfaces, and bright mint luster, you might have a coin that collectors are willing to pay a premium for. Grading services often categorize coins on a scale from poor to mint state, and the higher the grade, the more valuable the coin becomes. Beyond its numismatic value, the 1987D dime represents a piece of American history and culture. Roosevelt remains one of the most influential presidents in U.S. history, and his leadership during the Great Depression and World War II left a lasting mark on the country. Having his portrait on the dime serves as a daily reminder of his contributions, especially his fight against polio, which touched millions of lives. For many people, collecting dimes is not only about their monetary value but also about holding a small piece of history in their hands. If you are interested in collecting Roosevelt dimes, the 1987D coin is a good and affordable starting point. You can easily find one in circulation, and you can also search for higher-grade examples to add to your collection. Some collectors try to assemble complete sets of Roosevelt dimes, including every year and every mint mark. Others focus on specific dates, error coins, or proof issues. No matter your collecting style, the 1987D dime has a place in the series and offers a glimpse into late 20th century US coinage. So whether you are a beginner in coin collecting or an experienced numismatist, the 1987D dime from the United States has something to offer. It may not be a rare silver coin, but it is a vital part of the Roosevelt dime series. Remember to always check your change, look out for mint errors, and consider the condition of the coin before determining its value. A simple dime may look ordinary, but in the world of numismatics, even the most common coins can hold surprising stories, hidden treasures, and interesting history. Next up today we are going to talk about the 5-cent Jefferson nickel coin from the United States dated 1962. This coin is one of the most collected coins in American numismatic history, and it continues to attract interest from collectors, coin enthusiasts, and history lovers around the world. The 1962 Jefferson nickel is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, which started in 1938 and remains a popular design even today. In this video, we will discuss the background, the design details, the minting history, the specifications, and the collector value of the 1962 5-cent Jefferson nickel coin, while exploring interesting facts and insights that make this coin a fascinating piece of American coinage. The Jefferson nickel was first introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel, and it featured the third president of the United States, Thomas Jefferson. By the year 1962, the coin had already been circulating for more than 2 decades, and millions of these coins were produced for everyday use. The obverse side of the 1962 Jefferson nickel shows a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, designed by Felix Schlag. Around the portrait, the inscriptions read "In God We Trust" on the left, "Liberty" on the right, followed by the year 1962. On the reverse side, we see Jefferson's home, Monticello, beautifully illustrated with the words "E pluribus unum" above, Monticello across the center, and United States of America and 5 cents below. This design remained largely unchanged for many decades, which makes each year's production interesting for collectors who focus on mint marks, condition, and small variations. The 1962 Jefferson nickel was minted in 2 locations, Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint produced the 1962 nickel without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint struck coins with a D mint mark on the reverse side to the right of Monticello. In total, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 97 million nickels in 1962, while the Denver Mint struck over 280 million nickels, making the Denver issue more common. Even though these are high mintage numbers, collectors still seek out examples in high grades, proof-like strikes, and well-preserved conditions. The composition of the 1962 Jefferson nickel is 75% copper and 25% nickel, with a weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. It has a plain edge and a thickness of 1.95 millimeters. This alloy of copper and nickel has been consistent for most Jefferson nickels, except during the wartime years of 1942 to 1945 when silver was used due to wartime needs. Because the 1962 nickel came after that period, it is made of the standard copper-nickel alloy, giving it durability and a silvery color that has allowed many coins to survive in circulation to this day. Collectors who are interested in the 1962 Jefferson nickel often focus on condition and grading. Circulated examples are still common and usually worth only their face value of 5 cents. However, when you find a 1962 nickel in uncirculated condition, The value can rise depending on the grade. Coins graded mint state 65 or higher with strong luster and minimal marks are more desirable. Additionally, full-step nickels, where the steps of Monticello are fully visible without wear or weak strikes, are particularly prized. Finding a 1962 Jefferson nickel with full steps can be challenging, as many coins from this era were weakly struck, but when such coins are found, they can be worth significantly more. For example, a common circulated 1962 nickel may only be worth its face value, but in mint state 65 with full steps, it can reach a much higher premium. Some examples have sold at auctions for impressive prices, especially when certified by major grading companies. Proof coins were also struck in 1962 at the Philadelphia Mint, and these proof nickels are highly collectible because of their mirror-like surfaces and sharp details. Over 3 million proof coins were minted that year, which makes them accessible for collectors, yet high-grade deep cameo examples remain more valuable. The Jefferson nickel design itself holds an important place in U.S. coinage history. Felix Schlag's design was chosen through a national competition, and it has stood the test of time, representing Jefferson's legacy and his home Monticello. The 1962 nickel captures that era of American coinage when coins were made in large numbers for a growing population and economy. Although it may seem like just another nickel, the history, artistry, and collectible value make it a piece worth studying and preserving. As we continue to discuss the 1962 5-cent coin, it's important to remember how many people handled these nickels in everyday life. In 1962, a nickel had more purchasing power than today, and it could buy small items such as candy, gum, or a soda. Millions of these nickels circulated through stores, restaurants, schools, and households across the United States. Holding a 1962 nickel today connects us to that time in history, reminding us of how money, commerce, and daily life have changed over the decades. Collectors often look for mint errors on 1962 Jefferson nickels as well. Errors such as double die obverse, die cracks, off-center strikes, or other minting anomalies can add significant value to a coin. While most 1962 nickels are common, error coins stand out and attract strong interest. If you come across a 1962 nickel with unusual markings or a unique appearance, it may be worth having it examined by a professional coin grading service to determine if it is an error coin. Today, the 1962 Jefferson nickel is still easy to find in circulation, but high-grade coins and special varieties are more collectible. Whether you are new to coin collecting or an experienced numismatist, adding a 1962 nickel to your collection can be rewarding. It represents not just the history of American coinage, but also the artistry and tradition of honoring great leaders like Thomas Jefferson on everyday money. So, when you look closely at the 1962 Jefferson nickel, notice the details of Jefferson's portrait, the inscriptions, the design of Monticello, and the overall condition. Each of these factors helps determine the story and the value of the coin. Whether it comes from Philadelphia or Denver, whether it's circulated or uncirculated, whether it's a regular strike, proof, or even a rare error, the 1962 nickel tells a story of American history and coinage that continues to fascinate collectors today. Now we are going to talk in detail about the 5-cent Jefferson nickel coin from the United States minted in the year 1976 with a Denver Mint Mark D. This coin is part of the long-running Jefferson nickel series, a design that has been in circulation since 1938. The 1976 D Jefferson nickel holds a special place in American coinage history because it reflects both the tradition of the 5-cent coin and the era of the mid-1970s. Many collectors are interested in the 1976 D Jefferson nickel coin not only because of its design and mintage but also because of its role in the larger story of United States coinage. The front of the coin features the portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States, designed by Felix Schlag. His profile faces left with the word Liberty and the date 1976 next to it. When you look at a 1976 D Jefferson nickel, the D mint mark indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. This mint produced millions of these coins, making them common in circulation but still collectible depending on condition and grade. The reverse of the coin shows Jefferson's home Monticello, with the words E pluribus unum above, and United States of America along the bottom with the denomination 5 cents. Collectors often search for 1976 D Jefferson nickels in uncirculated condition, in mint state grades, and also in proof-like or full steps varieties. The full steps designation refers to how clearly the steps of Monticello are visible on the reverse of the coin. On many Jefferson nickels, those steps wear down easily, so finding a 1976 D nickel with sharp, clear steps can add a lot of collector value. Even though millions were minted, quality examples with full steps are much more limited, which makes them desirable. The metal composition of the 1976 D Jefferson nickel is 75% copper and 25% nickel, the standard alloy used for nickels for many decades. Each coin weighs 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters with a plain edge. These coins were intended for everyday commerce, so most circulated examples show signs of wear. For collectors today, the challenge is to find a coin that has been preserved carefully with minimal marks, strong luster, and sharp details. The 1976 D Jefferson nickel was minted during a time when the United States was celebrating its bicentennial year, marking 200 years since the signing of the Declaration of Independence. While the nickel itself did not receive a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar did, it still represents the coinage of that significant historical year. Many collectors who focus on bicentennial-era coins include the 1976 D Jefferson nickel in their collections to capture the full picture of U.S. currency during that patriotic time. When talking about values, the typical circulated 1976 D Jefferson nickel is usually worth its face value of 5 cents. However, higher-grade examples can bring premiums. In mint state condition, especially MS65 and above, these coins become much more attractive to collectors. Full steps examples graded by PCGS or NGC can be valued considerably higher depending on grade. While not the rarest of nickels, the 1976 D can still surprise collectors when found in pristine condition. Era coins from the 1976 D Jefferson nickel are also an area of interest. Off-center strikes, double dies, clipped planchets, or coins struck on the wrong planchet can all increase value. Collectors who specialize in mint eras often look through rolls of 1976 D nickels searching for these unusual varieties. Finding an era nickel from 1976 can be rewarding both historically and financially. In terms of collecting strategies, many coin enthusiasts choose to build complete date and mint mark sets of Jefferson nickels, starting from 1938 all the way through modern years. The 1976 D plays an important role in such a collection because it represents the Denver mint production for that year. Other collectors may focus only on high-grade examples or full-step varieties. Some even collect Jefferson nickels by decade, making the 1976 D part of the classic 1970s set. Looking more closely at the history of the Jefferson nickel, it was introduced in 1938 to replace the Buffalo nickel. Felix Schlag's design of Jefferson and Monticello has endured for decades, with only small modifications over the years. The 1976 D nickel keeps that classic design intact, connecting it to both the early nickels of the 1940s and the modern nickels of today. For many collectors, holding a 1976 D nickel is like holding a small piece of American history. Condition plays the biggest role in value. A well-worn 1976 D Jefferson nickel may only be worth face value, but an uncirculated example with bright luster and no marks can be worth much more. Collectors and investors alike often send their coins to grading companies for certification. A graded MS66 or MS67 full steps 1976 D Jefferson nickel can sell for strong prices at auction. This makes searching through coin rolls, coin shops, and collections exciting because you never know when you might come across a top-quality coin. Even though the Jefferson nickel is one of the most common coins in circulation, each year and mint mark has its own story, and the 1976 D is no exception. It connects us to the Denver Mint, to the bicentennial year, and to the tradition of the 5-cent coin in the United States. Collectors appreciate not only the monetary value but also the historical and cultural significance of these coins. So whether you are a beginner just starting your collection, or an experienced numismatist who appreciates the fine details, the 1976 D Jefferson nickel is a coin worth knowing about. Its design, history, and variations make it an interesting piece of American coinage. Keep an eye out for sharp details on Monticello, strong luster, and era varieties that can make your coin stand out.